Hello everyone, welcome to World Mapping Series with me, Indrajeet Bariar, the Faculty of Geography GS and Geography Optional at Rouse IAS, Bengaluru. Through this series, we are going to learn the basic physical features across the world through the coverage of the continents. And as we know that this information would be extremely important from UPSC examination perspective. First, in prelims, there are direct map-based questions. And secondly, in the mains examination also, we get these spatial distribution questions. Take, for instance, discuss the global distribution of fold mountains across the world and so on. And these questions can be easily dealt if we have this particular understanding. So in this first video of the series, we are going to take up the continent that is North America. So talking about North America, first, let's learn a little bit about the basic facts about this continent that is North America. And so what we see over here in terms of the basic features or basic facts is a first about its latitudinal and longitudinal extent. So if you see the latitudinal extent of North America over here, extending roughly from 9 degrees north to 83 degrees north, now this continent completely lies in northern hemisphere. Similarly, if you talk about the longitudinal extent, you can see its extent is from 11 degrees west to 180 degrees west. This 11 degrees west we are taking when we are considering Greenland to be the part of North America. And again, in this case, what you see is this continent lies completely in the western hemisphere. So as far as North America as a continent is concerned, it lies completely in the northern hemisphere and in the western hemisphere. Now, in terms of area, this continent is third largest continent in the world. So which are the first two continents? So the largest continent being Asia, followed by Africa, and then comes for us North America. Similarly, in terms of population, this continent is fourth populous continent in the world. Again, Asia is the most populous continent in the world, followed by Africa, followed by Europe. So, third largest continent by area and fourth largest continent by population, that is North America. Now, if we go with this continent, North America, the first thing we will have to understand would be the most important water bodies that surround the continent. And in this case, what we can see towards the north, first of all, it has Beaufort Sea, now which is a part of Arctic Ocean. Then over here, we have the Gulf of Alaska. So this is the Alaska region over here. And so we have Gulf of Alaska. In this part, I have what we call as Bering Sea. Then further coming southward, I have this part, which is the Gulf of California. So this is towards the north and towards the west. Moving further towards the east now, this part is what is Gulf of Mexico. This over here for you is Atlantic Ocean. Over here, this becomes Caribbean Sea. Then we have this very important water body over here, which is called as the Gulf of St. Lawrence. So Gulf of St. Lawrence is over here. After this now, this is a part where you have Labrador Sea. Then we have Baffin Bay. We have Hudson, And of course, on this side, I have Pacific Ocean. So these are the main water bodies that surround the continent that is North America. Now, for the study of the physical features of North America, first, how we divide North America. So North America roughly can be divided now based on the culture and the language. So culturally and linguistically, whole of the North America is divided by this line, wherein to the north of this, now we have the language that is English, which is most dominant. And so this part is called as Anglo America. Whereas further to the south of it, which includes the country that is Mexico and the parts that is of the Central America. This is the part now which is called as Latin America. So in this discussion, our major focus would be on Anglo America, the part of North America that is the Mexico and the Central America, which effectively are the part of Latin America. They can be clubbed, in fact, with the countries of South America in totality, what we will be calling as Latin America. So in this case, focusing on North America physical features, the first thing for us would be the physiographic divisions of North America. And physiographically, North America can be divided into the divisions, 5 divisions basically. The first division over here, which is covered like this. This is the first division for us. And this division now is called as Canadian Shield. Then we have a second division over here, which moves roughly like this. This is the second division now, which is called as Eastern Highlands. Then we have a dividing line like this, and this becomes my third division, this becomes my fourth division, and this becomes our fifth division. So over here, the physiographic divisions, if I have to see, the first division over here that I can mention is the Canadian Shield. Second division that I told you is Eastern Highlands. The third division now is called as Central Lowlands. So we have Central Lowlands. After this, further, the fourth division that you see over here, now this fourth division is what we call as the Western Cordilleras. And then comes the fifth division, which is Caribbeans. So now this is the list of all the 5 physiographic divisions of North America. And now in the map, you can see again, check over here, this one, this portion now, this portion over here, this, let's call it 1. This is the Canadian Shield. You have second one over here, which is the Eastern Highlands. You have the third one over here, this whole portion or region, now which would be the Central Lowlands. On the western side, you have what you call as Western Cordilleras. And over here, the fifth one, which now we call as Caribbeans. So 5 physiographic divisions. Now let's talk about these physiographic divisions one by one. So first, when talking about the Canadian Shield, you can see over here the extent of Canadian Shield. And the Canadian Shield, what we see over here is the first of all spread across the part that is Manitoba or Ontario, or in this part, this whole thing lies in Canada. But over here in this part, that is the Newfoundland and Labrador, the Canadian Shield extends into USA also. So spread across Canada majorly and some parts of USA, that's the Canadian Shield. Now, Canadian Shield is considered to be one of the oldest core landmass of North America. In fact, when North America was a part of Laurasia, this Canadian Shield formed the core continental landmass of Laurasia. And that's why this Canadian shield is also called as Laurentian shield. Now, this Canadian shield is extremely rich in metallic minerals, which becomes a very important source of mineral resources for the industries nearby. So first physiographic division, that is Canadian shield. After this comes up the second physiographic division, which is Eastern Highlands. And we can go back again over here and you can see over here this what I have marked as 2 as Eastern Highlands. So these Eastern Highlands primarily comprises of the mountain ranges which are Appalachians. So Appalachians are old fold mountains. And these Appalachians now are the most important part of Eastern Highlands. But in addition to that, of course, in these sections, now we include over here the highlands, that would be the highlands of Labrador. So in this case, the Labrador Highlands also would be included over here. The Newfoundland. So the Newfoundland Highlands also included in this. So Eastern Highlands are a combine of Appalachian Mountains, Labrador Highlands, and the Newfoundland Highlands. Now these Appalachians, about these Appalachian mountains towards the south are much higher and much broader than their northern counterpart. So I can say, moving from north to south, the height as well as the width of Appalachian mountains goes on increasing. And in these Appalachian mountains over here, I find the highest peak of Appalachians, which goes by the name Mount Mitchell. So Mount Mitchell is the highest peak of Appalachians. Now Appalachians are a very important physiographic division of North America in the sense that Appalachians are extremely resource-rich region. And if you see these resources, the Appalachians now are rich in coal reserves. In fact, more than half of the world's anthracite coal comes from Appalachians only. In addition to that, it has good reserves of bituminous coal also. Along with this, the Appalachians are rich in mineral oil. So some of the USA's most important oil fields are located in Appalachians. Now this becomes an extremely important factor because the Appalachians being a very rich source of energy, it again would be supporting the industries in and around the region. So Appalachian Mountains or the Eastern Highlands, that is the second physiographic division. Then we come to the third physiographic division, that is the Central Lowlands. And the Central Lowlands extend right there from Arctic Ocean up to Gulf of Mexico. So this, if I exclude from over here, this roughly if I exclude from over here, the remaining whatever I see, this is all what we identify as the Central Lowlands. Now in these Central Lowlands, there are certain very important features, extremely important features that have been formed. First, I find over here, okay, this is the feature now, what we call as Ozark Plateau. Ozark Plateau. So Ozark Plateau now, Ozark Plateau, again, very much like Canadian Shield, Ozark Plateau comprises of some of the oldest rock systems of the world. Then along with that, in the region, that is this region, is what we identify as the Great Plains of United States. Great Plains. Now these Great Plains have the feature over here, which we identify as prairies. Now what are prairies? So prairies are temperate grasslands, which comprises of soft grasses. So these are temperate grasslands. Now these prairies have soft and nutritious grass, now which supports the livestock rearing in this portion. But along with that, the prairies, the grassland region, since they are so extensive a region, in the recent times, this region has been cleared and providing an extensive plain area. There is a lot of cultivation that is being done over here, especially the wheat cultivation. So this region is known for wheat cultivation, and for this reason, the Great Plains are also known as the breadbasket of North America. That is the central lowlands. Then we move on to the next physical feature or physiographic division, which becomes the Western Cordilleras. So Western Cordilleras now lying on the western side, Cordilleras. Cordilleras simply means series of mountains. Now, these series of mountains have developed in the form of folding as the process, wherein on this side I have the Pacific plate, on this side I have North American plate, and effectively there is a convergent boundary that is present over here, in which the Pacific plate is subducting underneath the North American plate. Pacific plate, which is the oceanic plate, and the North American plate over here in this portion has the continental crust. So the oceanic Pacific plate now is subducting underneath the North American plate, and this has given rise to a lot of folding on the western side of North America. So all the series of mountains, what we are calling as Cordilleras, they have developed as a result of this convergence of the plates. Now, the whole of the Western Cordilleras, for the study purpose, can be divided into two sections. One, what we call as the Western Ranges, and another, what we identify as the Eastern Ranges. And these two ranges roughly run parallel to each other. So if we talk about these ranges one by one, so first let's take up the Western Ranges. And in case of Western Ranges, what I'll see is the first range over here. So first let me mark it and then we will name it. So first range lies over here. The second range runs like this. The third range now lies over here. The fourth range lies over here. As of now, these four ranges we are marking. So second, third, and fourth. So this is what we are identifying as the Western Ranges. And for Western Ranges, what I'll find, the first one now, the first one over there, which is called as Alaska Range. In Alaska Range, over here, I have a mountain peak called as Denali. Now this Denali peak, it was earlier known as Mount McKinley. And what about this peak? So this peak is the highest peak of North America, Denali Peak. So earlier it was Mount McKinley, now it has been renamed as Denali. So Denali Peak, the highest peak of North America. Then if you look at the second one, this second one is running right across the western coast of North America. And this one is what we call as the Coast Range. Likewise, the third one over here, and this third one is what we call as Cascade Range. And then we have the fourth one, which is Sierra Nevada. So Sierra Nevada. So one by one now, first some important peaks over here. So in the case of Cascade Range, what you see over here is another important high imposing peak in North America called as Mount Shasta. And to the north of it over here, I have another mountain peak which is called as Mount Rainier. So Mount Rainier is a volcanic peak, and Mount Rainier is an active volcano which has been included in something called as decayed volcano list. So decayed volcano list effectively identifies the volcanoes across the world which are most destructive potentially, and Mount Rainier has been included in that. Then along with that now, in the Sierra Nevada range over here, you have a mountain peak called as Mount Whitney. Now about Mount Whitney is the highest peak of USA outside Alaska. See, now if I ask you highest peak of USA, that without any doubt becomes Denali. But outside Alaska, in the mainland USA, the highest peak remains Mount Whitney. Then along with that, about Sierra Nevada, a very important fact that Sierra Nevada, although all the other parts that would be the Alaska range, that would be Coast Range or Cascade Range, they represent nothing but a result of folding. But over here, the Sierra Nevada represents geographically a block mountain. A block mountain is formed by faulting process. So Sierra Nevada is an example of block mountain. In addition to that, now another extremely important feature that we find in Sierra Nevada is something called as Yosemite Valley. So Yosemite Valley, over here you can see Lower Yosemite Fall, Vista Point. So Yosemite Valley. Now this Yosemite Valley, the important point about it is it represents a glacial valley. So during the Pleistocene Ice Age or the Great Ice Age, the last Ice Age, when the ice cover reached up to USA, now these valleys were formed and now they represent the glacial valleys in the region. So that is the Yosemite Valley. In here only in Yosemite Valley, I have something called as Yosemite Falls. So you can see over here Yosemite Falls. So this is the Yosemite Falls, Lower Yosemite Fall and the main Yosemite Fall. About Yosemite Fall, now the Yosemite Fall is the highest waterfall of North America. So repeating again, this lies in Sierra Nevada. Okay, the Yosemite Valley represents a glacial valley, and in the Yosemite Valley, the waterfall that I have, which is the Yosemite Fall, this is the highest waterfall of North America. So that's about the Western ranges. So from Western ranges now, next let's move on to the Eastern ranges. And for Eastern ranges, the ranges that I find over here, again first numbering over here, so 4, let's call it 5, let's call it 6, 7. So 5, 6 and 7 would be representing the Eastern ranges. And what are these ranges? So over here, if I have to write the Eastern ranges. So for Eastern ranges, I have 5th one called as Brooks Range. So 5th one over here called as Brooks Range. 6th one called as Mackenzie Mountains. And the 7th one, you can see, which is the most extensive fold mountain formation in North America. It goes by the name that is Rocky Mountains, or simply called as Rockies. So this comprises over here the Eastern ranges. Beyond this now, if I see going into Mexico, although Mexico again we would be covering under Latin America, but what you see over here is this coast range extending into Mexico, and I have 2 mountain ranges over here like this, which goes by the name Sierra Madre. Sierra Madre. So Sierra Nevada in USA, that is 4th, what we have marked, and Sierra Madre in Mexico, let's call them 8 and 9. So Sierra Madre 8 and 9, they are named as Sierra Madre. So Sierra Madre Occidental, and 9th one called as Sierra Madre Oriental. So Occidental and Oriental simply refers to west and east. Oriental, the term used for east. So see, Eastern Sierra Madre now will be called as Sierra Madre Oriental. The Western Sierra Madre called as Sierra Madre Occidental. So this is now what covers whole of the Western Cordilleras. So Western Cordilleras including divided into the Western ranges. So the Western ranges with Alaska Range, Coast Range, Cascade Range, and Sierra Nevada, and the Eastern ranges, which becomes your Brooks Range, Mackenzie Mountains, and Rocky Mountains. 4th physiographic division of North America, which is Western Cordilleras. Then comes the 5th physiographic division, what we call as Caribbeans. Now about Caribbeans, if we talk about Caribbeans, are again considered to be a part of Latin America. And Caribbeans are a set of more than 700 islands. These 700 islands of Caribbeans now are divided into different island groups. So if you see over here, these groups, let's say Greater Antilles, the first group. Greater Antilles towards the north and northwest lies Greater Antilles. Then you have the next one over here towards the eastern and southeastern side, which is the Lesser Antilles. And then I have towards the south, Leeward Antilles. So over here we have Greater Antilles, Lesser Antilles, and Leeward Antilles. These are the 3 different groups of islands, more than 700 islands. So these are 3 different groups of islands of the Caribbeans. To these 3 groups of islands, now if you add the Bahamas island group, this all added up gives me the country that is West Indies. So West Indies comprises of what? West Indies comprises of Greater Antilles, Lesser Antilles, Leeward Antilles, and the Bahamas Island group. And this becomes the 5th physiographic division of North America. So this is now about the physiographic divisions of North America. Now, after physiographic divisions of North America, another very important feature of North America would be its lake formations. And why it is so important? Because it is important because of its origin. Again, going back to the Great Ice Age or the Pleistocene Ice Age, when I told you the ice cover, the polar ice cover reached right there up to USA. When the Ice Age was receding and the glaciers were melting now, this melt water collected in the depressions has resulted in a lot of freshwater lakes. So these freshwater lakes in North America, they have this glacial melt water. And now, what are these lakes that we have to talk about? So the most important lake system we are saying in North America goes by the name that is the Great Lakes. And the Great Lakes extent you can see over here. So this is the boundary of USA and Canada. And right there along the boundary lies this lake system, a system of 5 lakes now called as Great Lakes. So if we look at the Great Lakes and the constituent lakes of this system, we have these 5 lakes over here, the 5 lakes. The first lake called as Lake Superior. The first lake of the system, Lake Superior. After Lake Superior comes the second lake called as Lake Michigan. Then comes the third lake called as Huron. Then comes the fourth lake, which is Lake Erie, and the fifth lake, which is called as Lake Ontario. So we have Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, and Lake Ontario. About these lakes now, the first one, that is Lake Superior. Lake Superior is the largest freshwater lake in the world. As we know, the largest lake in the world is which lake? So the largest lake in the world is Caspian Sea. But we know Caspian Sea is a saline water formation. And the second largest lake in the world is Lake Superior. Caspian Sea is saline water formation, Lake Superior is freshwater formation. So when we are asked the largest freshwater lake in the world, that becomes Lake Superior. Then comes up Michigan. About Michigan, a very interesting idea. So if you again draw the boundaries between USA and Canada. So this is the boundary that I can draw. On this side I have USA, on this side we have Canada. So what you see about Lake Michigan, observe over here, Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan is the only lake of the Great Lakes system which completely lies on one side of the borders. Okay, that is, it completely lies within USA. All the other lakes, if you see, they are shared between USA and Canada. The boundary is passing right there through these lakes. So Lake Michigan is the only lake of Great Lakes system which is on one side, completely on one side of the border, or completely lies in one country, that is USA. Then comes Lake Huron. About Lake Huron, the important idea, so Lake Huron is again a huge lake, okay, and the most important idea is this Lake Huron has a number of islands, lake islands, and one very well-known island in Lake Huron is Manitoulin Island. Now this Manitoulin Island, this island is the largest lake island in the world again. So lake island, island which lies within a lake. So Manitoulin Island, this is the largest lake island in the world. Then comes Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. Now about Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, again a very interesting idea. Between Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, somewhere over here, I have a very important formation, a very popular formation rather, I would say. And this formation is now what I call as Niagara Falls. So you can see Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, and over here I have the Niagara Falls. About these Niagara Falls, if you see the 3D image of this Niagara Falls, I'll see this whole thing as Niagara Fall, which tells me that it's not just one single fall, but more than one fall. But the most important waterfall of this Niagara Fall is what is called as Horseshoe Fall. So Horseshoe Fall, the most important fall of Niagara Falls, and Niagara Falls is located between Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. So this is now what constitutes the Great Lakes system of North America, comprising of 5 lakes. Then we move on to the lakes of Canada. And the lakes of Canada now, few very important lakes we have to know now would be straightforward, the names that we have to learn. Towards the south, we have this lake called as Lake Winnipeg. So this is the lake we are talking about, Lake Winnipeg. You can see now it's again very much to the north of the Great Lakes system. So you have Lake Winnipeg. Another important lake you can mark is Lake Manitoba. So there is Lake Manitoba, Lake Winnipeg. Then you have the next important lake over here called as Lake Athabasca. Lake Athabasca. Further to the north, I have this lake called as Great Slave Lake. And further to the north, I have this lake called as Great Bear Lake. Now, this Great Bear Lake is the largest lake of Canada. And in this case, what exactly you have to know is primarily the type of question, that is, arrange the following lakes of Canada from south to north or from north to south. So if you see from north to south, if I arrange it, my sequence becomes Lake Manitoba, Lake Winnipeg, Lake Athabasca, Great Slave Lake, and Great Bear Lake. And all of their origin is exactly same of what I have discussed for Great Lake system, or in general the lake systems of the North America, which is they all are the result of glacial meltwater in the earlier times during the recession of the Great Ice Age. So these are the major lakes and lake systems of North America. From here, the next thing, let's move on to, which is the drainage system of North America. And talking about the drainage system of North America, the first important drainage system of North America that I have is a river system flowing like this. The first system, and this system, river system I am saying, this is called as Mississippi, Missouri river system. So Mississippi, Missouri river system. That's the first river system of North America. And over here, this one, so this part, this is the Mississippi River, and this is the Missouri. So here Mississippi is the master stream and Missouri is considered to be a tributary. Other very important tributaries of this Mississippi-Missouri system comprises of a river called as Ohio and another river now called as Tennessee. So the Ohio and Tennessee rivers are a part of Mississippi-Missouri river system. Next river, important river now, lies in Canada. And for this, straightforward, I can go back to this map of Canada where I effectively can see a river called as Mackenzie River. And this Mackenzie River now originates nearby Great Slave Lake and drains into Beaufort Sea. Important point about this Mackenzie River is it passes through both the important lakes of Canada, the two most important lakes of Canada, that is Great Slave Lake, and you can see over here Great Bear Lake it is connected to. So it effectively it passes through both the Great Slave Lake and the Great Bear Lake, which is now for us the Mackenzie River. So Mackenzie River now, marking it like this becomes our Mackenzie River. So second river now, Mackenzie River. Then we have a third river which originates in Canada but flows into USA and draining of course into Pacific Ocean now. So this river flow originates in Canada, moves into USA and drains into Pacific Ocean. This is the third river now, the river which is called as Columbia River. And there is a very important tributary of this Columbia River called as River Snake. River Snake. So the third river over here, that is River Columbia. Okay. After this, the next river now is what flows like this, flowing into, what is this water body? This water body is Gulf of California. So this is Gulf of California. Over here, it's extremely important river, geographically, I would say, due to the geographical features that it has created. So this river now, first of all, this river is called as River Colorado. So River Colorado, now this river flows through the Colorado Plateau. So this whole portion now is the Colorado Plateau. So this river flows through Colorado Plateau. Flowing through Colorado Plateau, this is an arid region, and this Colorado River flowing through it, first of all, now it creates some beautiful valleys, gorges, and canyons. And extremely important formation over here, extremely popular formation over here, is what we identify as Grand Canyons. So Grand Canyons, everyone must have heard about. And if you see over here, the Grand Canyons. So the Grand Canyons, this is where you can see the Colorado River flowing through Colorado Plateau. This whole rock feature is Colorado Plateau. And in here you can see these vertical, almost vertical wall formations of the valleys. So this becomes the Colorado Plateau. And hence the valley, which is our Grand Canyon. So that's one of the very important features of the Colorado River. Secondly, apart from that, this Colorado River, as moving, this Colorado River flows into a lake over here again, which is called as Lake Mead. Lake Mead. So Colorado River flows into Lake Mead, and then the outflow further constitutes the flow of, or the downflow of, Colorado River. So this is Colorado River. Then the next river we move on to starts in USA, then moves through the borders of USA and Mexico, and then flows into Mexico, finally draining into this water body, which is Gulf of Mexico. So Gulf of Mexico. This, let's number it 6. And so this river is called as Rio Grande River. So Rio Grande River, Rio Grande, literally it means Rio Grande. It means grand river, large river, Rio Grande. Now Rio Grande, extremely important river, especially in this Mexico part, wherein towards the northeastern part of Mexico, it is the most important source of water, Rio Grande. Then after that, an extremely important river and an interesting river also, which flows from over here, like this. Okay, so this river now, let's mark number it 6. And this river is called as St. Lawrence River. St. Lawrence River. Now about St. Lawrence River, this river, if you see in the map, very important. Looking into the map, what you see is this river is originating from Lake Ontario. Yes, this becomes Lake Ontario. And so this river originating from Lake Ontario, the idea is this river actually originates from Lake Superior itself. Then it flows between different lakes and finally emerges out of Lake Ontario. So in this case, between different lakes, let's say for example, between Lake Superior and Lake Michigan, or between Lake Michigan and Lake Huron, it goes by different names. Finally, it takes the name St. Lawrence River once it emerges out from Lake Ontario. And this river drains into, again, what was this water body called as? This water body was called as Gulf of St. Lawrence. So this is Gulf of St. Lawrence. So this river connects Lake Ontario to Gulf of St. Lawrence, or here what is your Atlantic Ocean. And all the lakes of the Great Lakes system are interconnected. So in this manner, what exactly has happened due to this fact is, since the St. Lawrence River is navigable, it makes whole of the Great Lakes system giving the access to the open ocean, that is Atlantic Ocean. And now that's interestingly the factor which has resulted in industrial development, a lot of industrial development in and around the Great Lake region. Because now if you think of Great Lake region, on this side you have Canadian Shield, which is rich in minerals. On this side you have Appalachians, which is rich in energy resources. So with the minerals, with the minerals from Canadian Shield, with the energy resources from Appalachians, it provides one of the most ideal site for industrial development. And in addition to that, you have the access to the open ocean also. So transportation also facilitated due to this. Okay, so St. Lawrence River. So these are the most important rivers of the drainage system of North America. After this, lastly, so drainage system done. Now moving on to the last part of the discussion, wherein we are talking about the climatic conditions. So climatic conditions across US, North America, if you see, North America is stretching right there from the tropical location, reaching thereby up to the subpolar zones. And in fact, the northernmost part of the Canada, if I take up, that's the part which exactly is part of a North Pole or polar zone. So North America is one such continent that stretches through almost all the climatic zones. But here climatically, the dry region, the desert formation is something that we will take up over here. And in North America, I find three most important deserts. So deserts in North America are located, first of all, on this side. That is the southwestern side. This is the side which is the arid region of North America. And here only I told you one arid part, that is Colorado Plateau. Now, all the deserts in North America are a result of being on the rain shadow region of the mountains, because the Western Cordilleras lies here only. And so let's say the Western Cordilleras lying over here, and the moisture laden winds coming from the Pacific Ocean. So the western slopes of these mountains now become the rain bearing region or the windward side, whereas the eastern slopes now become the leeward side or the rain shadow region. And that's how different deserts have developed in North America. So the deserts in North America now would be directly associated with the rain shadow regions. So with this case, now what you see is the first one over here is a range of western ranges, which we called as Sierra Nevada, if you can remember. So Sierra Nevada lies over here, and so to the east of Sierra Nevada lies the desert which is called as Mojave Desert. So Mojave Desert is in the rain shadow region of Sierra Nevada. Then we come to the second one, which is the coast range of Mexico. And again, towards the rain shadow region of the coast range of Mexico, now lies a desert which is called as Sonoran Desert. And the Sonoran Desert in the rain shadow region of Coast Range. And then we have another mountain over here in Mexico, which we called as Sierra Madre West. So Sierra Madre West, what was it called as? Sierra Madre Occidental. And with Sierra Madre Occidental, the third desert that we have marked, it is called as or is pronounced as Chihuahua Desert. Chihuahua Desert. And this Chihuahua Desert now lies in the rain shadow region of Sierra Madre Occidental. Okay, so these are the three major deserts of North America, out of which, if you see this Chihuahua Desert, it is the largest desert of North America. So related to climate now, the three important arid regions or the desert regions of North America, which becomes one to the rain shadow part of or rain shadow side of the Sierra Nevada, which becomes Mojave Desert, towards the rain shadow side of Coast Range called as Sonoran Desert, and towards the rain shadow side of Sierra Madre Occidental, which is the Chihuahua Desert, the largest desert of North America. And so now this completes our discussion regarding the physiographic features or the important features of North America. So everyone, hope you have learned about the physical features and developed a general understanding about the continent that is North America. So for now, I'll take your leave, and the next time I'll meet you in the next video, video 2 of this series, where we would be covering Latin America. Take care, everyone. Bye, and thank you.